What happened?
I got a call from one of my classmates. He seemed like he was rich himself, and he was harassing me. And he knows like where I work, what I do. Like I would think his life is in risk. Like he seemed like he was about to like commit suicide.
Is he talking about committing?
No, but he seemed like he's on drugs. Like the way he was talking was not
How
right.
long? When was the last time you had any contact with him, like physical contact or face-to-face contact?
Wednesday. I have him in my Tuesday class, Wednesday class, and two of my tomorrow classes.
Okay, and he obtained your information through class because you provided it to him?
My cell phone number. Yeah.
Okay, so he's calling you on the cell phone?
Yeah, he was calling me. I was taking a nap like earlier today.
Uh-huh.
He called me like 3-4 times, left a voicemail like saying my full name.
Uh-huh.
And then I thought maybe he needed
Have you
help.
blocked it?
No.
Okay,
He hasn't
okay.
called me after. Yeah.
Let's do this. Block it, okay? And since he's school, what school you go to?
LACC.
Okay, you could report it to the staff out there regarding his attitude, you know, his what's going on. Maybe they could evaluate him or you know, something like that. Or you could get a restraining order.
Because the situation is the class is tomorrow. My sister and this classmate are in a law program at LA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
My sister works for the district attorney's office.
Okay.
We found out that she works for the district attorney's
He
office.
keeps saying I know.
Well,
And there was an incident with other classmates that they had where he was friends with other classmates.
And
he was
he's
out
doing- okay.
drinking with them. And then something happened where he recently got arrested.
Okay.
And I guess the other classmates stopped talking to him. So he came to my sister.
what was the arrest?
I don't know. He just didn't come up for a couple.
Block his number.
Yeah.
Contact the school staff. What's going on? Maybe they could kick him out or something like that from the class or something. Because
only-
if she shows up to school drunk or under the influence
Yeah.
or something like that, sheriff deputy will come in and they'll take him away.
Yeah,
You
but
guys got to speak out.
That's like in a matter of seconds that he can come and do something to the class.
He could do anything in a matter of seconds. I
Yeah.
mean, even if we end up taking a report right now, what's
Yeah.
it going to prevent him from doing something tomorrow? Because
he-
we're not going to go look after him today, correct?
Well, I mean, I would assume like the way he was talking to me, he
It's-
seemed like he might
it's-
hurt himself.
Okay, then
he
if you
knows-
have the
yeah.
address, the information, if he's gonna do that, you call 911 and say, hey, I have a feeling that this guy's suicidal.
Yeah.
Here's his phone number, this and that. They'll do
So you
the
want me to call
coordinate.
911 right now? Just be like, here's his name. Go find him.
Well, most likely they won't be able to find it because they're probably gonna ask you what's his hard address. Or
Well, my
yeah.
sister works for a police station, and they can direct it to a phone number, his landline, and they'll go to show up his house with his full name.
Where does he live?
The situation.
In LA, right? Like down the block from the school.
From LACC?
Yeah, and he knows where I work for the DA's office and gangs and everything.
Okay.
So he keeps saying that.
Did I forget our phone?
Is that your phone?
It's like this one, just black.
Is this it right here? Is this a hard case? Okay. Well, that's not my partner. What does it have in the front? Hold on.
That tiger. No, I mean a lion.
Is there a way you could turn it on?
Is
Is that her
that
phone?
our phone?
Is this her phone? Oh, okay. All right, cool. I thought it was yours. I'm like, I don't want to give your phone away. Sorry about that. I mean, you know what? They could find out a lot of information
Yeah.
based when you're in class.
Yeah.
You share information with people, what
Right.
people do. You know, and you
Yeah.
talk about, hey, yeah, my sister this, my brother's that, I'm this, I'm that, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, my best suggestion is, you know, if he sounds bizarre or something like that, and you're worried about his mental status,
Mm-hmm.
you call 911 and say, hey, you know, I just got a call from this guy. It didn't sound there right.
Yeah.
This is what he told me, this and that, and they'll determine if he's,
Yeah.
you know, whatever you tell them
Yeah.
when they question you, if he's suicidal or whatever it is, you know, you provide it to them, give them the phone. You say, hey, only I got the phone number, this and that. Maybe our 911 operator can go out there and find out where he lives or the GPS or whatever they do. Maybe because they have a system where if he's the owner of the phone, they could go through the phone, see if it belongs to AT&T, and
Yeah.
they'll come out
Yeah, I know.
where the bill is going to, all of that. So I don't have that capability. I think no one here has. It's only our operator down in the 911 system. But that's about it. I mean, if you start acting bizarre in school,
just-
you guys gotta.
Right. I understand. Tomorrow's our last day. It's our final for both in
Mm-hmm.
two of my classes. But on the phone, and like he keeps saying like I've committed a felony before. I know you know what I've done because you work for the DA's office. I'm like, I do not know.
That's so
what you've
vague.
done.
You know already.
Yeah.
That's so vague. I'm saying committed a felony. What's that? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
that's not. My brothers have committed felony. I don't consider them.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, it's so vague.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? He hasn't. You know. He hasn't got to that level of basically anything. I mean, he's talking gibberish. Yeah, he's probably under the influence.
Yeah.
and everything. That's, we're gonna see that a lot now. Marijuana is gonna become legal. All of that,
Yeah. But I mean,
So
like you're saying, like on Tuesday, like I had a thing at work, so I had like my makeup done, my hair done. He goes, like I'm so crazy, like this is so naughty of me, like you look so beautiful, and he's harassing me in that way. Like I'm gonna see you
okay,
tomorrow.
bring it out to school staff. Is this happening in school?
No, he called me and said all of this.
Okay, because I mean that is just gonna be.
Like, can we file a report for the harassment at least?
There's
Just so
no
we can-
report for harassment.
Oh, there
You probably know that already. Harassment is
Yeah.
not a crime unless you get a restraining order from a judge, and the judge approves it and says, do not harass this person, do not call this and that and everything. Yeah, once that person does it,
Yeah.
then it's violation of the restraining order, not of harassment.
Okay. I mean,
Okay.
my best would be I'll just call 911 and say go check up on his mental status.
Sounds good. And in
What
school,
about
if he's acting
school
bizarre,
police?
if he's acting bizarre, notify your school PD. You know what? If you see him coming in and he's all, jittery, this and that, walk out the classroom like you're going to go use the bathroom or something. Call, the whatever, either confront a teacher or an officer there, wherever they're located, and tell them, hey, this guy out here, he's under the influence. He's not acting right. And they'll come and check him out.
Maybe we can send your professor an email and then notify school police when we get there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, how do we know if he's sober? I mean, if he's okay.
Yeah, we don't.
Well, these
You know?
a couple of students used to hang out with him, and then like he came up to me randomly in class and said like, oh, they came and checked up on me at my house and stuff like that. So I feel like
I mean, he might be on probation or parole,
Yeah.
but that's not a crime. They still got to live their life.
Yeah, no, I
If he's out, he could tell you all he wants. Say, yeah, they came and checked up on my house. Yeah, okay, he's on probation, he's on parole, whatever. It's not a criminal of him telling something or it doesn't validate who he is. I know a lot of people, they're on probation or parole. Unfortunately, they made a mistake. Now they're trying to live their life
understand,
again
yeah.
within society. Just because they go check up on him doesn't mean he's always going to be a bad person. That's what they call it. Rehabilitation. Rehab. That's what it's California. Department of Correction and Rehabilitation.
Yeah, no, it just seemed like he was like overly obsessed with me, and that like keeps throwing in my job. Like I don't know, it's just kind of like.
Well, because maybe you got the knowledge of it. I mean, when I went to school, everybody wanted to know what I did. I mean, they knew what I did, and I was like, they would pay more attention on me than on the professor, because everybody had questions. What if this? What if that? What is this? Questioning my job. An officer did this to me, an officer did that to that. It happens. Once people find out what you do and you're in the law type, they start questioning. I mean, it was crazy when I went to school. It was like. It's like, hey, you know what? I'll answer your question like 5 minutes before class, because everybody had questions. It's like, hey, this, how did that, this and that. Hey, why did the officers do this? This and that. I'm like, dude, it drives you crazy.
If we call the psychiatric mobile response team, would they be able to track down his phone number?
It all depends. I mean, depends what's said. If he's in their system, all of that.
And
That.
LAPD has their own mental health unit?
We have our own mental unit, but we only respond where somebody calls, and we show up to the location, and basically we got to know 3 criteria: danger to self, danger to other, and greatly disabled due to a mental illness. If those criteria are there, we could place them on hold. If they're not on there, we can't place them on hold.
Okay, but it would be you guys contacting that unit, not like a civilian?
That we got not civilian. Now, civilian have to go through LA County mental health. With us, that's our own unit. We have our own pet team. That's people call it out there, but it's that's for our department, ourselves.
Right on the corner of Oxnard and Park. So next time it happens,
Just block them and staff. If he acting weird, my best suggestion is when you go to school or something like that, don't tell people what you do for a living, because you don't know, they might be pissed off at the whole world, and luckily for me, I carry. I carry a firearm. So when I'm in school, I carry a firearm. So anybody comes up to me and try to step up to me, guess what? I'm a dealt with them. But that goes. They don't see what you do. They just see law enforcement. You know, that you see, you know, you work for the DA, you know, you're with the law. So if they're having a bad time, guess who they gotta come after? You know, so you just gotta be careful who you tell people what you do for a living too, especially if you're in class. You know, in school, you don't know, you know, half of
Like
these
I'm a
people.
paralegal program, so everyone knows what everyone does. I understand.
Yeah, you just gotta be careful, you know, when how to bring it up. You know.
Thank you very much.
Okay, yo, what's your last name?
Martirosyan.
Let me write that down real quick. Spell it.
M-A-R.
Martirosyan.
Got it.
So him keep bringing up like, I know what you've done. There's no way of even knowing what he's done. To like, if I was to be like
11808. Yeah, that's mine.
I'm concerned now what he's done. There's no way of you letting me know.
No,
It's not a
No.
serious crime.
I can't let.
I mean, it's technically public records. If I was to go to court and pay for his record, he can still get it.
You could, yeah.
Even
You're
if
okay.
I feel like my life is at risk, there's no way of knowing.
How is it at risk?
Because he keeps
Yeah.
bringing up that I know what you've done.
I know,
He
but that's
thinks that,
nothing.
Like, I've run
It's
his record before. I'm like, I can get fired
okay.
for that.
Yeah, but that's not life-threatening.
Well, it's still harassment that he keeps.
In
saying
harassment,
before I look,
it's
yeah.
still by you go to court, get a
Yeah.
restraining order.
Okay.
You know, harassment itself is not a crime unless a judge approves it and says, here's a restraining order. Harassment, that's when it stops.
Yeah.
You know, harassment, you know, a lot of people said assaulted. What's an assault? You know, you've been physically assaulted. No, I've been mentally assaulted. This person called me this, called me that. Well, it's not against the law unless a judge said, hey, you know, you need to stop this harassment, you know, the assault, the mental, the verbal abuse or whatever. That's when it becomes against the
And
law.
then for school police, do you guys have a direct phone number for school police so I can contact them and let them know just to keep
You got to check with your campus.
Okay.
That college, I know they're patrolled by the sheriff.
Yeah, sure.
Is it
So
there?
yeah,
Okay, so
it's not LAPD. It's LA County Sheriff.
Okay. Just so at least they know
Yeah.
what's going on for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'll email my professor whatever happens.
You know, and if we have a saying, you know, the right to know and the need to know, for
Yeah.
me to go into his file. Now, if he, you know, if you see him, he's irate or whatever, he's not
Yeah.
acting right, appears to be under the influence in his class, sheriff will come in, they'll, you know, detain him, and, you know, they'll probably be like, hey, you know what, this guy's no longer a student here, they'll run his record, this and that, and then, you know,
Yeah.
all of that, see what he's about. So,
Thank you
okay,
so much for all your help.
okay, you're welcome.